Well, good day, good afternoon, good morning. Hope you guys are having an amazing day. It's Trevor, your metabolic health specialist, your biohacking coach for men over 40. Today, I have Michael here with me. I am so excited to be talking with Michael. Michael has lost 40 pounds in just 10 weeks, and I am so excited to be talking with Michael because I'm going to be asking him some very specific questions on how he did it. And it'll be through our Biohack the Fat Weight Loss System, which I'll give you guys more information about at the end of this meeting with Michael. So, Michael, welcome. How are you doing today?
Thanks, Trevor. I appreciate it. I'm doing very well this morning.
Awesome. I love it. Okay, great. My first question to you is what motivated you to join our Biohack the Fat Weight Loss System? What motivated you to say, okay, I need to do this today. I got to get started.
It was really two things this past summer that led me to where I am today and ultimately helped me make the decision. The first thing was I had a relative who was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. It was a couple of months before I made this decision, but it was weighing heavily on me because I thought it's almost a miracle that I'm not diagnosed with that. I'm always pre-diabetic. My sugar, runs pretty high, but not too high to where they would call me diabetic. And then the second thing I think was just an accumulation of the weight. I had been battling weight since I was 13 years old. Lost weight even while I was in high school and went to Army basic training and had that kind of continuous yo-yo throughout my adult life. And it got to the point where I said, it's got to be now or never. The older I get, the harder it is to lose weight, the harder it is to work out. And I thought I'm going to be limping into retirement and miserable if I don't lose some weight. So it really came to a culmination this August, and I started looking for a new way to lose weight because I thought I had been there, done that on every type of meal plan there is. So in August, I started looking in earnest for a new way.
It's amazing, and I'm so glad you found us because like this way of eating is completely different, and which I'm going to be asking you about in a moment here. But so when you actually started the program, how was that? How was the getting started in the program? What were some of the challenges that you faced starting the program? Was there anything that helped you in terms of getting started? What was your experience like getting started within the program?
At first it seems daunting because you have a whole new shopping list, you have a whole house full of foods you cannot eat, and it seems like it's very difficult. But the program is set up, where everything's kind of laid out for you, a list of shopping, a list for a meal plan, um, videos that do things as simple as showing you how to check your own blood for ketones and things like that. So in the beginning, the challenge is just that it's a program with a lot of detail in it. But if you just process it, it really isn't as daunting as it seems. And I had, kind of a little helper who's really, she's little in stature, but a big help in my wife doing a lot of the cooking. So for me, that was a huge help, that my wife had been doing the cooking and continued to do the cooking. And then we worked together on meal prep and cleaning, and she's lost weight as well on the plan. So we're real proud of her, and she doesn't stick to it like I do, but she doesn't have as much weight to lose either. So she can afford to kind of, not stick to the plan. But the beauty of the plan and sticking to the plan, when one person does and another person doesn't, it motivates both of you because she goes, oh, look what I would do if I stuck to the plan. So over time, she's gotten better at sticking to the plan and also lost weight, but she's a huge help. So that overwhelming feeling in the beginning, reach out to family members for help. That's what I would tell people if I was going to give advice. If you live alone, that's not so much of a problem because you don't have to worry about them eating, snacks in front of you. But having my wife on board and her actively helping me, if you're in this plan, reach out for help. And if you have to, reach out to you, Trevor, for that help and other additional tips if somebody, doesn't have, if they live alone and need help.
Yeah, that's phenomenal advice for sure. Because yeah, having a partner to do it with is really great because it allows you to have that accountability partner. and pushes you to say, okay, I need to be following the meal plan because my other partner, my other significant other is doing the same, and I need to make sure that we're on the same page together. And it just adds a whole nother level to that. Obviously, as you said, like if you live alone, then that's where coaching comes into play. Like for myself personally and our other coaches on staff, we obviously communicate with our clients 3 times per week at the minimum to check in and make sure they're doing what they need to do. So that's where that comes in. But that's really amazing. And I really that's a really good advice for everybody that's watching for sure. So then coming into the meal plans, then how do the meal plans fit into your daily routine? Like, was it easy to follow? Did you find it difficult at the start, or just was it like, oh, okay, I get it. This is simple, right? How was that? How was that for you?
I think that in the beginning, it was difficult because I was completely changing everything about my meal plan because I would say that I ate out and I would say all but a couple of meals a week. So I didn't eat breakfast before this. So I would eat out lunch and dinner many days, many days, lunch and dinner eating out, right? So for me, it was complete change, right? So there was a getting used to it type of a thing. There was a certain, there's a certain social aspect where I would have lunch with my buddy a couple of times a week. I would have dinner with my wife 3 or 4 times a week, right? And we'd be eating out. So there's that social aspect that I had to kind of work through. And then once I got past the first couple of weeks, it wasn't difficult anymore. It's like any other change. Once you spend a couple of weeks doing it, the mental part of it is beaten. Now you just have to do a little bit of extra work, but you save money. So, like I watched my credit card bill just plummet, and then, I'd see these $200 bills to go to the steak market. But then I'd realize that's like 6 months worth of steak from the butcher house, right? So, it's like it really is a lot less expensive, even though it's an expense, meat and vegetables are your two most expensive things to eat. But when you don't have to buy all the other garbage, it's really cost effective. So I think that initial change, once I mentally got by, it was a little difficult, but now it's a routine.
Yeah, that's really an important aspect of things is the cost saving or saving the money from going out to restaurants and eating, all these extra foods that your body doesn't really need and is actually making you sick in the long run, right? And so that's a huge benefit. It's a huge return on the investment is that you are actually A, saving money and B, improving your metabolic health, your internal health, and yeah, like you said, your credit card bill is just going down, right? So it's awesome.
No doubt.
Awesome
Yep.
that way. That's great. And so, what specific habits or strategies from the program made the biggest difference in your results? Because that's a huge one. Because we talk about having this as a lifestyle component, not just something that you're just going to follow for 3 months and stop doing. So you must have over the last 10, 12 weeks have built some really good strategies for yourself in terms of allowing yourself to create these amazing weight loss results that we'll talk about.
Yes. I think that it's meal prep Sunday, or meal prep day, whatever day works for you is so important. And in our family, we end up doing it 2 days a week and we get everything ready. I've noticed that other people might do it a little bit different and even cut up all their meat and everything. We don't go that far. We cook everything. We cut up all the vegetables and, say the spinach and the lettuce and things like that. And then we have everything. So it may take an extra 5 minutes to actually prep the food, but I'm fine with that. I think the biggest strategy is the biggest one component, and it's not something I came up with. It's part of the plan. Have a meal prep day. Get it all ready so then when it is time to eat and you don't feel like cooking at 6:30 at night, you've been working all day and you worked out this morning and you really would just like to chill out and get delivery food. No, it doesn't take but about 10 minutes to prep your meal because everything's ready. You just put it in the portions, cut it up, melt your cheese, and you're good to go.
I love it. That's exactly what we teach in our system, really, is having one day a week. It doesn't have to be Sunday, but it could be any day of the week meal prep, right? Cooking all your meats. That takes the longest time for many people is all that meat that you need to be eating throughout the week. You just cook it in one day, then you can meal prep. It takes like literally 10 minutes to make a meal or, multiple meals. And so that makes it super easy so that you have no excuse, right? Because obviously there's an old cliche, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And that's obviously true in our system. It's always about planning everything out. And we're all busy. We all have lots of things to do, work, business, relationships, all that kind of stuff. But if we can get the meal plan strategy in place, like you mentioned, Michael, it makes eating this way so much more easy and way more convenient. So it's awesome. I love it.
Definitely.
Good stuff. Okay, cool. And so this is a really important question because this is going to lead into how much weight you lost. You lost 40 pounds in 10 weeks, which is amazing. How has that impacted your life? How's it impacted your life both physically and emotionally? Because that's a huge amount of weight to lose in just 10 weeks.
Well, I'll just kind of run down things. My knee doesn't hurt. That's been a while since I said my knee doesn't hurt. Like it was at the point, I had it scoped 10 years ago, and every time I would see the orthopod, he would say, you lose some weight, your knee will feel better,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
And like he presented that information, as a medical fact, and I didn't take offense to it. It was reality, right? But now I feel it, right? So that is super awesome, right? Like immediately you don't have pain. I can go shopping in my own closet because anybody who got to, let's just say anybody who was ever a fat guy, I don't mean someone who had to lose weight, but someone who was clinically obese like myself. I've had even conversations with fat friends, other fat guys, and we're like, you can look in your closet and based on your weight today, what shirt fits and what doesn't, right? What you can wear and what you cannot in your own closet, which can be frustrating when your weight gets high. You're like looking at your closet and you're like, oh man, I just wore that yesterday. I don't have anything to wear that will fit me nice, right? So, and then the crazy thing that I've learned is that 2X, the size 2X, is like 5 sizes. I'm not kidding. I have things that when I was at 275 when I started this, you and I started officially at 273, but let's just call it 275, that I have shirts that were too big for me and they said 2X. And I have shirts like this one that I bought and have never worn.
Oh, wow.
Never worn this shirt. That's why I wore it today, was for this conversation, right? Because I've never worn this shirt. I wore it over the weekend and out, and I had people go, "Oh, you look nice." Like they didn't necessarily all say you lost weight, but that's what they meant,
Yeah.
right? They're like, "Oh, you look nice. You're wearing a shirt that fits. Number one, it's not oversized, and like you can tell the difference, right?" So it's a big ego boost. It certainly keeps you going, but the practical benefit is my knee doesn't hurt.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Let's
Amazing.
face it, that pain drags your ass down. It does.
And you have to deal with that every single day, right? And you obviously are walking around every single day. If your knee hurts every single day, it's just a emotional drag on you. You're like, oh my God, my knee. Like, and I'm sure that before this, you've taken like Tylenol, anti-inflammatories, which, a little bit of relief, but obviously nothing to what you feel now,
Right.
right?
Exactly. And I didn't want the kidney effects. I'm on enough meds for other reasons. And I'm like, I don't need to be putting this ibuprofen or acetaminophen or whatever in my kidneys, in my system for the tiny little bit of pain relief it
Yeah.
gets.
Yeah.
I get more from ice than I do from that, right?
Yeah.
So that was something I don't like pain pills in general. I was I don't know if you remember, but I broke my fingers right before we started this plan. I never took a
I
pain
remember that.
pill. They sent me prescriptions. I never, I just don't like pain pills. I have an addictive nature. I'm addicted already to my fan that I sleep with. I'm addicted to food. Pain pills are not up my alley. So I just never did them. And now magically my knee, who would have known? You take 40 pounds off the same frame, your knee doesn't hurt.
It's huge. Yeah.
My
Ah,
my
40.
blood pressure's down. My blood pressure's down. My triglycerides are down. My A1C is down. My lipids are not up, right? Like it didn't like drive my cholesterol is not up. Like all the things that traditional medicine tell you that a high fat diet is going to do didn't happen, right? So my next step and the next tangible benefits will be, to meet with the cardiologist in another, say, 20 pounds or so and see what meds we can take me off of. My ultimate goal, as you know, is to get from 273 to 200 and off all my meds and then to go skiing.
It's amazing.
So those are the one, two, three.
Yeah, phenomenal. I mean, amazing results. I mean, obviously that shirt, you can't see your gut. You're sitting down, so you can't even see your stomach, right? It looks amazing on you. And so flat belly is what we really aim for in our program, right? So the more fat you accumulate over your abdominal cavity, the more risk you are of having, high triglyceride levels, high cholesterol levels, high blood pressure, A1C that's out of control, right? And so once you actually reduce that belly fat, you reduce the risk of all those other diseases. And so that actually, I love that you talked about that because most people are very afraid of having fats because they think, oh my God, if I have fats, I'm going to increase cholesterol levels. I'm going to increase blood lipids. My doctor's going to be like, oh my God, like you need to go on a statin. But it's the complete opposite, right? Fats are actually your friend when it comes to losing body fat and improving your metabolic health. And so that's a great point that you drove home is that fat has nothing to do with higher cholesterol levels or high, lipids or triglycerides, which is great.
And don't forget, I live with a cardiac nurse. So
Right.
there was a certain, I had to get past her decades of education, right? She stands in the procedure room with cardiologists every day. She handpicked my cardiologist, right? She's like, this guy's the best. This is who you need to see, right? So it's hard to get her to get past that. The labs that I just had recently, she's on board now. But she
Awesome.
still said, don't tell the cardiologist.
Yeah. God bless your wife for allowing you to do this. It's amazing. I'm so glad she's on board. So that's phenomenal. So that's
Yes.
that's great. Phenomenal results. So in terms of the system itself, like the Biohack the Fat Weight Loss System, what surprised you the most about our system? Because I think a lot of people have these preconceived notions around what our system's all about. But for yourself, what was a big surprise or a shocker that kind of said, "Oh, okay, this is different than my normal way of losing weight"?
Um, Two things. Number one, that I'm not hungry. I used to take that hunger pang as a badge of honor, as a feeling like I'm losing weight, right? And really what it was kind of unnecessary torture,
Hmm.
right? Because I wasn't losing weight, right? I was just hungry, right? On this, you have enough calories always, right? And then, even when you're fasting, because you are putting the salts and the water and those types of needed minerals into you, it it doesn't feel like you're fasting. I've been able to breeze through 24-hour fasts. Fasting was something that I had done in the past. And so that surprised me that I'm not hungry. And then the second one is kind of related to that. I'm surprised how important salt is to this, right? Because like I would have thought, okay, you don't want a lot of salt because you don't want to retain fluids, right? Which is something that I was beginning to do, as I would getting older, if I would walk or spend time on the boat or spend time outside in the heat, my ankles would swell. And so I always thought that was because I had too much salt in me, right? I'm retaining water. So the whole concept, I had to get past that. Like, no, it's not too much salt. Like I'm going to be taking, at least two big jugs of water with a teaspoon of salt, plus my twice daily pink drink with a not a teaspoon, but a half of a teaspoon. With the same amount in my pink drink twice a day and doing it 3 times a day when I was fasting, my sodium was normal on that same lab that I just took. It was not elevated at all. And I recently had the flu, and that flu messed up a lot of my labs, specifically my potassium. So my potassium had been normal, and then the flu just flushed my body of electrolytes, and the potassium, it took time to get it back up, but my body does process these salts very well. Now I'm back in the normal range and things are good. And I was amazed that it took a long time to get that transformation that salt is that important. And, I kept drinking it and expecting bad things to happen. But it was kind of like trust the plan. You got this down to a science and it works. And I get less cramps now. I still get them because I think my body sheds salt, but I get less cramps. And, those cramps that I am getting, I'm still on a statin. And we know that statins can give you muscle cramps too. So we're lessening the cramps despite the fact that I'm not even off the statin yet. So I think it's all good. The salt is the biggest surprise to me though.
Yeah, the sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, those four electrolytes are so important for the body. And once we get into our nutritional protocol, you need sodium, like potassium, sodium, all of those electrolytes are so vitally important, especially for cellular functioning, for optimal cellular functioning, right? So we don't have those electrolytes, those very important electrolytes. We have brain fog, we feel, fatigued, you don't feel good, we have muscle weakness, you feel like just somebody hit you with a truck, you feel like fluish, right? Kind of when you get a flu. And so these things are so, so important. And so yeah, we need sodium, 2,500 to 3,500 or more milligrams of sodium every single day. That's really optimizing cellular functioning. And that's how you can feel great, right? Sodium is one of the most important things, more important than the meals, believe it or not. Right? That's what I tell people. It's
That's
like sodium,
crazy.
it is crazy to think about, but it's more important than the meals, the sodium. So no, that's great. And the hunger, I love it that you said that because our system is not based on caloric restriction, where a lot of systems are based on, caloric restriction and, driving calories down to like 1,200 calories, which obviously just makes you feel hungry and grumpy, right? And so you get
Right.
hangry, yeah, and you don't feel good if you're just eating, 1,000 calories a day. You need substance for your body to survive. And, with our program, it's not the caloric restriction that we focus on. It's the types of foods that regulate hormones, specifically ghrelin and leptin, which is what's happening in your body. If you take in the right types of foods and not restrict calories, we reduce ghrelin, which is our hunger hormone, and increase another hormone, which is called leptin. And that is released from your body fat stores and goes to your brain and tells your brain that you're full, that you feel good, that you don't need any food. Right. And so regulating these hormones is very important. And it's not done by restricting calories, but by changing the types of foods. So very good. I love it. Phenomenal. So our last question then is for yourself, if you could say to somebody, hey, like if you're considering joining the Biohack the Fat Weight Loss System and you feel unsure about it, here's what I would suggest. What are your thoughts around that? If somebody's on the fence, what would you say to them and say, hey, like here's what I would do?
Well, I think that they are going to have to figure out if this is the time where they really want to succeed and lose weight. Um, I was at that point. I don't know if I had, say, been introduced to you 2 years previously, if I would have had the same result, because mentally you have to be in the right headspace. And if you are in the right headspace where you're just sick of it, you're just sick of either failing at other meal plans or being the size that you are, or someone like me, your knee hurts every single day and is a constant reminder that you need to lose weight, I would say they need to sit down for a half hour and talk to you because you went through your presentation and in no way did I think that you were trying to sell me anything or persuade me. You weren't. You were laying out a system and how the system works. And one of the things that sticks out now that you said, maybe not in these exact words, but you said, look, this plan doesn't have any magic pills or potions or anything. You are going to be losing weight by eating food. You gained weight by eating food. Now you need to lose weight by eating food. And that's how I heard it, right? And I had been there with powdered drinks that I would drink and some kind of thing, a pill that would supposedly accelerate your metabolism. And this, cutting out fat kind of a plan. Keto, like a keto is not really all this is. This is biohacking the fat. This is different than just keto because keto, you can get into keto relatively quickly. But if you don't feed it with fat and protein and eliminate the carbs, you'll be right back out before you can get your cells. And my cells had a long way to go to change the way that they process, from processing sugar to processing fat. They need to learn that on a cellular level. And I think because I had been eating so poorly, that my cells maybe took a little longer than the average cell, right? But now they've been trained, and I have not gotten out of ketosis. But I sat down at that meeting with you over the Zoom, that I was ready. I was absolutely ready. And you presented a plan that not only fit with let's just call it my worldview of what made sense to me about losing weight, but you educated me on the biohack the fat portion of that it's a step beyond keto. So I really didn't need any convincing, did I? Like you got to the end and I was like looking for my credit card, right? So I was ready. I was open. So if I'm talking to someone who has been dealing with weight, or just maybe they're not to the point like I was dealing with it their whole life, but now as an adult has put on an extra 30 pounds and go, what? How did that happen? Right? Those are the hardest pounds to lose. Let's face it, I did it 4 pounds a week because I had a lot to lose, right? At 273, I was clinically obese and this close to being diabetic. So my body was like happy, right? The struggling part is the last 10 pounds, the last 5 pounds. This is the only kind of plan that you can do it. You can't work out that weight and get those last 5 pounds off. You have to biohack your body. So regardless of whether you have 80 pounds to lose or less than 40 pounds, which the plan is, kind of designed around this 40 number, there's, no more consistent, healthy way to lose weight. And I think if they sit down and talk to you, if they're ready, they're going to end up being on our text line.
It's awesome. That's great advice. Phenomenal advice. Because yeah, the one thing that most people need is that mindset piece, right? Like if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired of being overweight, that's the point where you need to start doing something, right? Obviously, before that would be great, but the mindset needs to be there first. If you're committed to the process or you're committed to the plan like you were, the results just happen. They're like just like following the plan, follow the system. It works, right? And so that's what you did. Obviously, you followed the plan, you got amazing results. The other thing I wanted to touch on is the keto. And so I like that you brought this up, because one thing is that we are definitely not a ketogenic eating plan only. Our system is really focused on driving your body's hormones to that right level. So insulin, glucagon, ghrelin, and leptin. We really want to lower insulin. That's the key. High levels of insulin basically destroy your body. That's where type 2 diabetes comes in. That's where all types of cancers come in to play. So insulin, if it's high, there's going to be an early onset of death, unfortunately. And so our plan is really focused on that. And we only can do that by eating the right types of fats, right? So we drive our fats up to 79% of your total caloric intake. And for most people, it can get up to 85%. And that's where we're completely different than keto. And we're also more aligned with proper fasting protocols as well. And so the combination of the right types of fats plus our fasting protocols can get you amazing results like this, right? And so that's huge, huge. So yeah,
Absolutely.
100%. Like if anybody's ready to connect with me on a Zoom meeting, definitely I'll have a button underneath this video here. You can just click and just book a meeting with me, and we can sit down and chat. And like Michael said, it's not a sales conversation. This is something that I take very personally. It's not something that I'll ever sell you on a program. This is more like if we're the right fit to work together. Right? Because you have to be a fit. We're going to be working together for 12 weeks. So it has to work. It has to be a fit, and it has to make sense to you. So that's what it's all about. And so definitely, if you guys are ready, if somebody is watching this right now and they're ready, definitely click that button underneath there, and we can book a meeting through Zoom. But yeah, so that is phenomenal, Michael. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a very enlightening conversation. Is there any last parting words that you want to share with our audience? Anything that you wanted to add into our conversation before we ended this meeting?
Yeah, I really want to thank you as well. I think that like you have in a short time, in a 10 to 11 week period already, changed my life for the positive, man. I really sincerely mean that. And like if you're going to partner with someone as a coach, you couldn't find someone who's number one knows this stuff inside and out. Number two has positive outlook on life, a positive outlook on weight loss, being beyond weight loss. It's about health, right? And then you've also lived it. Like you've lost weight doing this. You're, someone that you can present of, okay, if you do this, here are the types of results, and that's a motivator too. So, I appreciate everything that you've done, and like I told you from the beginning, I'm in it for the long haul. Sugar is no longer a part of my life. And now I've gotten to the point rather, where I don't crave it. And it took a few weeks. You even remember early, like week 3, I was having a little like driving by all these drive-throughs, driving by, ice cream shops and, saying, oh man, I'm hungry. But I wasn't hungry. And I got through it. And I literally almost like called you in a crisis mode, like I need, and you gave me some, a pep talk and a break glass in an emergency type of a situation, and I never had to break the glass, and I'm happy about that. But the mental part is where the coaching is so invaluable. We all know this. If you've gained weight or lost weight in the past, it's mental first, and before you can do the physical.
Yeah, 100%. It is 100% mindset over meal plans. But that's where the coaching comes in. That's where I step in and be like, okay, like you said, if you're 3 weeks in and you're like, oh my God, I got cravings. I don't know what to do. That's where you text me and you're like, Trevor, something's happening. I'm having cravings. What do I do? Right. And then I'll jump in and be like, okay, here's your options, ABC. Right. Don't break the glass. Don't break the emergency glass just yet. But because we
Right.
have other options. Right. So that's phenomenal parting advice for sure. And I so appreciate the thanks and the gratitude. This is what I do. I love changing lives like this. And I live it. I've been doing this lifestyle since 2015. And every day I love how I feel. I like how my body transforms really quickly. And I know that other guys over 40, because I'm right now at 45. I know that other guys that are in their 40s, 50s, 60s can benefit from this, and that's why I keep pushing forward. And we just want to change as many lives as possible through this way of eating. And so that is pretty much it. And if you guys are watching this and you're ready to actually transform your body health properly without dieting, going to the gym, or taking drugs like Ozempic, feel free to book a meeting with me. Just underneath this video, there's going to be probably a button that says book a meeting, or get started today, lose 40 pounds today, whatever it is. Book that meeting today. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be life-changing for you, just like Michael got in our program, 40 pounds down in 10 weeks. And this is a lifestyle for him. This is not something he's going to stop doing. Correct, Michael? You're going to keep going, keep pushing forward after the 3 months. Obviously, that's something that you want to do.
Yes, and I'm going to keep, like, it was always for me a 6 month, plan, because I kind of did the math and I thought 40 pounds is not enough. That doesn't get me where I want to be. So this is easily turned into a lifestyle once you get it, like any habit. Once you get it in, internalize it, you can put it in a permanent lifestyle thing. And then if you're being prescribed, this is one piece of advice, any of these weight loss miracle drugs, read the side effects and you won't take it. That's what happened to me. In August, my insurance finally, my insurance did a huge favor by not approving that drug for me right away. They didn't. Like, I kept having to go back to the doctor. Hey, they won't approve it. And he went back, and I guess he told them, whatever he needed to tell him for them to approve. And it wasn't Ozempic. It was in the same family, same type of thing. Supposedly it was better. But I read the side effects and I'm like, I'd rather have diabetes. All the side effects were like life-changing type things. And I'm like, I've been pre-diabetic forever and I never had anything that bad. But the side effects were terrible, and including muscle loss, like things you don't want, right? And so if a doctor prescribes, read the side effects, learn the side effects, and at least give Trevor a call, or set an appointment with him and hear the natural way to lose weight with food and compare compare the side effects, because my side effects were as follows. My knee doesn't hurt. My labs are much better. My sugar's down. My triglycerides are down. Everything's within normal range. Those were my side effects to this. It's a lot different than Ozempic.
All positive side effects, no negative.
Right. Right.
Right. So
That's exactly right.
yeah, I mean, we don't have time to go into the Ozempic stuff, but I mean, that's a dangerous drug. It is so, so, so dangerous for the human body. Should not be even taken by type 2 diabetics. Raises insulin levels, pancreatitis, muscle wasting, gastro freezing. So it is definitely nothing that we want to mess with. So I'm really glad you did the natural way, Michael. So congratulations again, guys. Michael, sorry. This is phenomenal. I really, really appreciate you coming on here and talking about your positive results in our Biohack the Fat weight loss system. So thank you so much, Michael. I really appreciate your time today. And it's
My
been
pleasure.
an amazing, amazing conversation. And again, let you guys know, if you are interested, head over to www.biohackthefat.com and book an enrollment meeting. Yeah, exactly. Click the button underneath this video, book that enrollment meeting, and let's get started today. Let's biohack your fat. All right, guys, have a phenomenal day. Thanks for joining us today on our interview meeting with Michael, and we will see you guys very soon. Keep biohacking your body fat, and we'll chat with you soon. Bye for now.
Bye.